and you were actually giving the khutbah on that day when this happened. Is that correct? The reaction, Imam, of the people after his sentencing there, were you were there in the courtroom?
This world was created with color. A peasant like you will.
And maybe his name is Ahmed. He don't even pray 5 times a day. He's in a strip club drinking alcohol. Assalamu alaikum. Greetings of peace. Welcome to the Deen Show. And we're going to go ahead and bring on the Imam from the Christchurch Masjid. This is where 52 innocent people were massacred, gunned down. And not just that, 47 wounded. You had innocent men, women, and children who were in a house of worship, a house of God, praying the same way Jesus prays to the one and only creator of the heavens and earth. And then you had this terrorist who we don't even call a Christian. Even though he was a Christian, he wasn't acting according to the teachings of Christ, the Messiah, the messenger that God Almighty sent to guide humanity at that time, who was a brother to Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon all of them, who came with the same message of worship the creator, not the creation. This is who we're going to be talking about. And also we're going to be having a picture painted from the Imam who was actually there giving the khutbah. He was there giving the khutbah when he heard a crack in the door. And then the person that welcomed this terrorist said, "Peace be with you. Come on, welcome, brother." And then he got gunned down himself. So we have a lot to talk about. We can go ahead and hear this story. And for our brothers and sisters in humanity, the good people out there, they can go ahead and help to prevent something like this happening again, because hate breeds hate. And when we let this hate propaganda against Islam and Muslims spread with the wrong information, the media helping to hype many of those fringe elements that might do something, when you know and I know that statistically, when you look into the facts, they know that you have more of a chance of getting killed by your furniture or the lightning than you do some Muslim radical extremists. It's all hype. And you're going to get to hear the story of the real terrorists who killed and gunned down these people in a house of worship with the Imam from Christchurch. When we come back, peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum.
This is the Deen Show.
Thank you, brother, for your invitation. I'm very pleased to be with you, Nikna, and thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome, Shay. You're welcome, Shay. So in our limited amount of time, I wanted to just spend some time with you talking about, Christchurch, the community there, where you had gunned down, you had, is it true, 52 innocent human beings, 47 wounded, and these were people who were in a house of God. These were people who were in a house of worship, who were coming far away, from harming anybody, and then you had this criminal, this evil individual come down, and you were actually giving the khutbah on that day when this happened. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And alhamdulillah, our shuhada are alive, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised, that أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون. They do not think that they are dead, but they actually truly live and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put them in the highest Jannah with al-anbiya and the siddiqeen and the shuhada wa as-salihin. Hasna ulaika rafiq.
Can you describe for us that day? So you wake up, you probably do what every Muslim should be doing. Obviously, you woke up praying Fajr, you're getting ready. Describe, you had something to eat. Describe that day, the day leading up to this evil act that happened, please.
Yeah, as you said, brother, it's a Friday. For me, I prepare my speech as normal. I'm now 20 years Imam. So I prepared myself to be talking about وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. That people should cooperate in doing good things as you are doing. And with the brother from Japan, Brother Ahmed, I really enjoyed his interview. And leading to the mosque as normal, I'm always talk frankly and freely with all the things I like to say, and without hiding anything in my heart. What I want to say, I say. So as normal, some Muslims, they always, fight, as you said, about the leadership of the mosque and the stuff in the office. When I was printing my speech, they were, you know, it was the election time for the organization, and you have the right to stand and the stuff. You have to step down and all these things. And I said to them that they need to be calm, and anybody who wants to stand, and it is his right, and they need to accept that, and the people need to decide who should be the president and the treasurer and so on. And unfortunately, as you can see, I don't want to talk about this. This is a lesson for us that we should always, you know, use the shura and accept each other. And it is a responsibility to be in charge of a mosque or any organization. It is not something that a person should be, you know, trying to put others down and they try to, you know. So after I left them and I give them advice, as I don't try to influence any political decision in the mosque, because this is not my job, and my job is just a spiritual advice. I went to the Mimbar and we started al-khutbah. We start in summer, we start at 1:30. And also another lesson for any imams or people out there in non-Muslim environment, we have to, for us, we have to fix the Friday prayer, not to move like this Zuhr prayer. It has to be fixed so that people, they can tell their, you know, employers that the Friday prayer is in this specific time. So it is 1:30 in summer and 12:30 in winter. So I started my speech in Arabic as normal, just introduction, giving the core of my speech, what is it about in Arabic, and then I started the English, of course, after the Adhan. So we started at 1:30, and then probably 2-3 minutes, Adhan finished, and then I started 1:40, 1:41. I heard the crack in the corridor. I stand while I'm standing on a Mimbar, I can see part of the corridor, and it is very long corridor leading out. So I thought that somebody from this factions, two groups, you know, is not happy about the election. So the election was due next Saturday. So it was 1 week before the election in the mosque. So I thought that somebody he started fireworks. Because it is New Zealand and there is a strong bond between the Muslim and all citizens of New Zealand. It's a very peaceful country, very, very beautiful. And I never expected that such a hate crime could happen in New Zealand. Unfortunately, I was very, I can say, naive. I never thought that this could happen in New Zealand. I never also read about white supremacists and stuff. I never thought about all these things. As a Muslim, just a very peaceful place, peaceful religion. We practice it freely and we share it with the community if anybody wants. And our mosque was open almost like 24 hours. We didn't have lock to the mosque. It was open for 24 hours. Sometimes, you know, people in the street, they come and even sleep in the mosque. We come on Fajr time, we find people using the toilet, and so it was very, very, very peaceful place. So when I saw the crack and the lights, I thought that it's fireworks by a person who is not happy with the election and the candidates. So I kept looking at it, and the people were jumping. Basically, you can imagine it, brother, basically to the roof of the mosque. I can see people on top of each other to the roof of the mosque in the corridor. And behind them, I can see one person standing, and the lights is coming from that person. A flashing lights, and also I hear the crack. And then I kept looking at it for like 4 times. And people were jumping and basically flying. And then one person on the right from Algeria, he said shooting. I looked at him, he broke the window and he off through the window he went. And then another person on my left, he said, also shooting, and he ran quickly. Everybody was still sitting and looking at the back, because the main gate or the main door of the mosque is from the back. So I felt like something went beside me like this, and I looked, said, what is this? And then another bullet down there, down on Mimbar. I looked, it looks like a flower in the carpet. I looked like this, and I looked again, and then I saw the killer, the terrorist, one of the a middle room opposite to me there, with a big sliding door. I saw the firearm, and I saw his hands. And then I went down, and the whole mosque, like people were flying from everywhere. And then it was horrible to hear these bullets and the shells falling on my head, and other people who were hiding as well. And I heard the music and the songs coming from somewhere. At that time, I didn't know that it was from this killer. He was opening the speaker, and so some people say Allahu Akbar, others say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, and the bullets, actually you can't imagine how high and harmful to your ears, and even the gypboard falls from the roof, from the walls, and the smoke from the firearms. I didn't know that it was one person. I thought that 5 people, because the speakers are everywhere in every room in the mosque, and you can hear the echo from everywhere. I thought that probably 5, 6, 7 people, and everyone in one room, and from all the sides of the mosque. The mimbar was shaking, and the ground also was shaking. And I thought that something really big is happening. It's a war. And all of a sudden he stopped, and then I looked. At that time, I looked to see who is that person. He was changing the magazine, and I saw a person in a military uniform with a helmet and things on his elbow and around his neck and around his knees, and fully army uniform. And then I thought that, oh, the bond that we have between us and New Zealand was not true. And I thought that this is the New Zealand army, because the earth was moving, the ground was moving, the walls were moving as well. I thought that tanks are behind the mosque as well, because everything was moving. And then I thought that this is not only in Christchurch, it's all the mosques in New Zealand. That person, that was for like 20 or less seconds. And then a person who was hiding, he ran. And then this person, he opened the fire on him. He was Egyptian. And after we finished, I found him dead by the entrance of the mosque. And then I hear after the unnamed person, as we call him here in New Zealand, the unnamed person started to fire at the people who are already on the ground. He approached, he went very closer a little bit, and many bullets, and then I heard his footsteps going out of the mosque. But I thought that he was standing in front on the gate, or he is entering the other rooms. But actually, I found out later that he was outside, because you can still hear the bullets. And then one person from the garden room, I call it, from the left side of the mosque, he came from the back, and he was walking. I heard his footsteps. And because too many people are making very strange noise, as you know, after the shooting, they were shot. So I couldn't hear exactly what he was saying. I thought that he was also a killer, and he moved from the garden room to the middle room and to the door where the killer was also shooting through before, and then to the corridor. And I felt that he is standing in front of the office and of the management. And then I thought that he was also a killer. And then all of a sudden from the front gate, I heard that 3 shots. It was this brother, was Brother Hussein from Egypt and Alexandria. And I came after the killer left. I saw him dead in front of the. And also, I didn't know that he was not a killer. I thought that he was, a killer. Otherwise, I could have come out and the other people. But we were not sure if he was a killer because he was not talking. He was talking very slowly, and the other people also talking. We don't know what's really, and it was a horrible time. We couldn't decide. And then when the killer came back again in the mosque, he was really angry from what I can feel. So, and he went to those people who were saying Shahada or saying Allahu Akbar, and that time was in the head. So he was shooting them in the head.
So he left, came back, and then did his second round of killings.
Yes. So I know he killed also people outside when he was going outside. And when he went to his car to change the firearms, he also went to the car park from the site. From far away, and he killed basically one person from, I measured it, probably more than 90 meters far away from him. He killed him as a Syrian boy. He was actually talking to his mother, telling her that there was a shooting and my father is inside and I got my brother and he shot. And then his mother heard the shooting, and then he was killed while his mother was talking to him on the phone. He came back, and he was killing people in the head at that time. And some people were actually telling him, I call it after this, that they were telling him that they are still alive. Some people pretended dead, some people were not, that was. So they kept saying Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. So he would go to their head, and that's why it took long time to actually identify those people, because their face and their head were actually very they are not clear. So when the mother came from Jordan and saw her, she insisted to see her son. When she saw him, she got heart attack, and also she died when just 1 week before, 3 days or 4 days after the attack, when she saw her son. So it was a horrible thing. So now the killer, at that time I was thinking of my children, and I am now in the best place, in the best time, and I'm giving khutbah. I started to think about my sins and what is going to happen. And before that, I had a series of khutbah about the Day of Judgment. And I was telling myself now, I used to talk about the Day of Judgment, As-Sirat, Al-Mizan, and Al-Qantara, and Al-Wuquf bayna yaday Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then I thought that now this time I'm going to see this in reality. It is not about speaking about them anymore. And then I saw myself on As-Sirat with Al-Malaikatullah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I thought that that's a good end for me, and I will go to Al-Jannah. And I was waiting for my turn. Any second, any bullet he shoot, I thought that it is coming to my head. And it took it was very surprised for me to know that it was only 60 minutes. I thought that it was 40 minutes or 1 hour, because of how many bullets I heard. And I hoped that he could have finished us, because it was very hard to hear the bullets, and my ear couldn't actually bear anymore to all these bullets. He finished, he left. And then one person, he came to me and he said, Imam, I know that you are there, come out. I wanted to stand up, but I couldn't. Basically, my head was between my knees like this, and I didn't know how did I do that. And that's why I have pain here in my neck all the time. And I don't know how, there is no medical treatment for this. But he pulled me and I stood there. And that was the horrible thing I've seen in my life. And I think if they have taken me with my eyes closed, it could have been better for me to live my life as normal. But when I saw all what I have seen, when I saw those brothers and the children lying there and the part of bodies, it was the horrible thing in my life. I wanted to call 111, but I forgot that number of the police, and I couldn't remember it. And somebody said that the person who helped me, he said that many people called the police. We just need to come out because too much smoke inside. You can't breathe because of the jeep board, from the bullets and the shells, and also the lid from the firearms. When I was ready to walk, I saw a person coming from under a big pile of brothers there with all the blood on his head and his body, and he was crawling with the bullets in his legs. And then I saw part of a head of a brother on that brother's back, with also his brain on his back. I felt like my brain is going to something is going to happen to my head. I put my hands on my head like this, and we started to run outside. We were jumping people and the blood everywhere. And I came by the front door and I saw one of the firearms he left with white words written on it. And then I realized that the police is standing by the fence, and he was calling everybody in a speaker, come outside if you are alive, come outside. So we went out there, and actually I stopped talking at that time. I couldn't talk. I wanted to talk, but I couldn't, because people were asking me about their family members, and I wanted to talk, but I couldn't talk. Like 40 minutes or 1 hour, I couldn't talk. And people come to me and talk to me. I can understand, I can see them, but I want to answer them, but I couldn't answer. When I saw this sister on the footpath with her head open, cut open, cracked, and a brother sitting beside her, and he took off his jacket, put it on her head. That was the sister who the killer shoot her and then drive the car on her head. And then I saw another sister. She was on the driveway of our neighbors. She was also shot. And the ambulance and the police, many police came, and they asked us to walk to hospital, very close, through the Hagley Park. And we asked the police to actually guard us to the hospital. I didn't have my shoes. My wife came running from, the other side of Riccarton Road to Deans Avenue, and we walked to hospital. It was really a horrible thing to talk about. It is the horrible thing to talk about, and the world now have seen that the hate speech can turn into hate crime.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's something that now, obviously, how do you feel when you see this beautiful way of life that you live being maligned and the double standards? Because when I was listening, like many, and watching the news reports, and then he actually filmed this live, And then many people didn't catch it because the song that he was playing, it was a Chetnik song. And my family's from Bosnia. So we know that after World War II, the greatest genocide that happened was in Bosnia. And you had, again, we don't like label because you had so many good Christians, and you know, it's not about dividing, but you see a lot of times the effects of the media that push this division and this hate. Radical Islam. Islam means to submit your will to the creator of the heavens and earth. It can't be radical, but look how even sensitive we are. We don't go, because when I heard this song, Sheikh, he was singing this song that these extreme Christians, Serbian Christian, again, I have Serbian friends, I have, you know, many Christian friends. This is that extreme group within, like we have in every bunch of people. So now you also have him. Many people don't know, you know, and you don't hear the media talk about it. He went to, he was a fan of Andrew Breivik, who also killed 77 people. He went to go get these blessings from these Templar Knights. It's a Christian organization. On his gun, he had many of these Crusader dates. You had him also a fan of Radovan Karadzic. You know, this is a big war criminal. Again, we don't blame Christianity. So how do you feel when you see Islam? You know, as soon as they get any chance, right? It could be someone who's totally doing opposite of Islam. And we know that it's a statistical fact that Muslims do not commit the most acts of terrorism, domestically or globally. It's statistical. You can research it. The data shows it. So it's clear. But when some fringe element, someone, maybe his name is Ahmed, he don't even pray 5 times a day, he's in a strip club drinking alcohol, and they capitalize. But even here, it's clear he was a Christian. He's not following the way of Jesus. He's not being a true Christian. But this is important because many Christian and others, they think because of the media that Islam promotes terrorism, Muslims are terrorists, etc., etc., and then they get bit by the hate bug, and then they end up doing violent crimes, terrorism, horrific acts like this. Do you see those double standards, Sheikh?
Yeah, actually, if you can watch my TEDx on Christchurch as well, if you search my name. I talked about this when my story when I came to New Zealand in January 2003. It was after September 11, and it took me 4 months to, I was not able to go outside like this as Imam when I came to New Zealand, because Muslims everywhere, they were branded like terrorists and the stuff. And I tell you, Brother Eddie, the 15th of March, I called it the 9 September 11, the second. And because after September 11, Muslims were used, misused, and people used Islam and in the media outlets, and politicians also, they contributed to the hate against Muslims as well. So what happened in Christchurch proved that Islam is and the legacy that we introduced to the world, created to the world. The Muslim community, you did not see any even glass in the street or any demonstration, because this came from Islam. The first person who met this terrorist, he said, "Hello, brother, welcome." So this is the legacy, that this is the akhlaq, the ethics. These came from Islam. And this is the legacy that we created in New Zealand to show the world that what you have been watching after September 11 and in September 11, this is not Islam. 2% of those who claim that they are Muslims and they use Islam for violence, and this is not the true Islam, and they do not represent us. So in the past century, also the brothers and the sisters from the Jewish community in Germany, the hate speech also killed them in Germany. And I visited Germany, and I visited the biggest synagogue in Berlin, and I gave a speech. And the students in the synagogue and the teachers there, they also cried, because this is discrimination. They discriminated against them in the past, and now there is discrimination against Muslim, and who knows who is going to be discriminated against also in the future. So this is a call to all the political leaders to think about this. In the past, it happened against the Jewish community, and now it is happening against Muslim. And we should not wait until we see a big genocide again against Muslim. So now that's why last week I called for a new law in New Zealand, and the Prime Minister was there, and I said that we need a new legislation to draw a clear line between freedom of speech and hate speech. So when someone burns the Holy Quran or burns the Bible or do anything against any religion, it doesn't consider as a crime. But actually, this is hate crime, and we need to make distinction between the freedom of speech and hate speech. We want to protect freedom of speech, of course. That's very important. But at the same time, we need to make the hate speech very clear from the freedom of speech.
Yeah, this is very, very important. Tell us, we're almost out of time. Just a couple more questions. I mean, you mentioned, it's sad when you mentioned this tragic event, 9/11, where you had Muslims also who were killed. And I have a new slogan, Sheikh. Because it's not just me on my own, saying this, but you have, for example, a Christian professor, David Ray Griffin, who talks about, quoted as saying, all the evidence that America was attacked by Muslims on 9/11, when subject to critical scrutiny, appears to have been fabricated. Now, this is a academic, someone who's done the most research, written the most books. Not to talk about the over 3,000 plus architects and engineers, former presidential candidates, and family members. So the new slogan based on this is never forget that Islam and Muslims had nothing to do with 9/11, and stop using us as the scapegoat.
It has been 18 years since the terror attacks of 9/11. On that day, 2 towers fell in New York City, right? Well, actually, that's wrong. 3 towers fell. The North and South Towers of the World Trade Center, also known as the Twin Towers, and a third building, World Trade Center Building 7. In fact, here is video of Building 7 as it came crashing down that day. 6 years ago, I went to New York to report on a campaign to raise awareness about Building 7. More to the point, to raise awareness that over 3,000 engineers say that building could not have fallen down the way that our government says it did. Well, now today we're going to release to you the results of a $300,000 study conducted by scientists at the University of Alaska. Those PhDs have used computer technology to prove that the way the National Institute of Standards and Technology says that Building 7 came down was not only wrong, it's impossible. Furthermore, they can now say with absolute certainty that there is only one way that building could have come down, and that is for the entire core of support beams to fail at the same time. Remember, this is a building that on 9/11 was never hit by a plane. It simply collapsed. What's more, Dr. Halsey's conclusion does match a theory that has long been promoted by so-called 9/11 truthers, that explosives were actually used to bring down Building 7. So what you need to know is that in the history of fully completed and standing skyscrapers, there has never been a high-rise building that has collapsed from fire. It had never happened until NIST claimed that it happened at World Trade Center 7. What you need to know is that it took Dr. Halsey and his team more than 4 years to publish this study, which again used finite element computer simulations and high-tech computer modeling. And what they found was that despite the claims made by NIST, fire could not have brought down World Trade Center 7. The only reason NIST came to that conclusion was because they used wrong information to create their hypothesis.
So I hope we can run with that, because I think anybody who really looks at it, we know that Islam doesn't call for violence against innocent civilians. Any Muslim who does a horrific act like that, just like a Muslim who drinks alcohol, is going against the Quran. And some Muslims drink alcohol. And a Muslim who goes and does zina, promiscuity or sex outside of marriage, he's going against Islam. So you have to differentiate those Muslims who might do some things now out there, just like a Christian might do some things, but he's not following the true example of Prophet Muhammad or Jesus, and we have to call these things out. But in this case, never forget that Islam and Muslims had nothing to do with that. Tell us the reaction, Sheikh, the reaction, Imam, of the people after his sentencing there. Were you were there in the courtroom?
This world was created with color. A peasant like you will never change the human race. Your wish is to make this world a racist cult of one color, but you'll never succeed.
You failed miserably. We became more determined to hold tight to Islam, and our beloved ones are martyrs.
Burying one dead friend is heartbreaking. How about burying a one of a kind? A one of a kind that is my son, Atta, and 49 beloved brothers and sisters in one go.
That's right. And in the courtroom, I was the first person to talk to the judge. And I actually I addressed the terrorist. And I told him that he wanted to divide the community. He wanted to plant hurt, but we planted peace. He threw us with bullets and we threw him with flowers. And the community, this is from Islam, that I talked to him directly, and I told him that he is the loser and he will spend the rest of his life in prison, and we are free. And the whole world, actually not only the people of New Zealand, they put their arms around us, and we are one community, one big family. Whether in New Zealand or outside, we will continue our life against hate, and will continue to spread peace and love. And there was suppression on my impact statements, but many people also talked to him, and some people forgave him as well. And now the judge gave him the severest punishment ever that could happen in New Zealand, and he will, without any parole, and he will spend the rest of his life in prison. And now it is our choice whether we name people by their religion. Somebody, a criminal who commit a crime, we need to stop saying that a Muslim did this and a Christian did that. It's the criminal is criminal regardless of his religion. When the person, cross the red light, we're not blaming the car. When you have to change the car, then we will be unwise.
Yes.
Because there's nothing wrong with the car. It is the person, and we have to actually come together and do things together, learn about each other, and celebrate our differences. We don't want to eliminate differences. We want to celebrate our differences. People will be Muslim, many people will be Muslim, many people will be non-Muslim, people of faith and no faith. We have to work together, and at the end of the day, we'll go back to God, and God is the judge. We do not judge people, and we want to share planet Earth together as one family, learning about the things we can do different. I can cook Egyptian basbousa, you can cook your traditional dish, and we can share this together. We can play football, soccer. We can in my locality here, I do community garden, and I am elected after 15th of March in the community board in the local council, and we started to be part of the decision makings, and we are open, and we want to live as anybody else, in New Zealand. And I have so many friends. I came to know many people, even up to the Prime Minister, and I talk to them, on a daily basis. So we can do all these things together to make our life better and enjoy our life. And we do not want people to live their religion, and so it is up to them. We do not force them. If anybody wants to learn about Islam, I am ready to teach about Islam. If I can answer their questions, if not, I refer people to more educational people than me. And we need to actually, as Muslim, also we need to actually learn the language. This is my advice to also my Muslim brothers and sisters, especially the Imam. I studied in New Zealand, the College of Education, primary teaching, and I learned the culture, the people, how they think, so that we can actually introduce Islam in a way that people actually understand. Sometimes we introduce Islam in a bad, way that the Western person cannot understand. So we have to understand the culture, we understand the language, speak the language, get a scholarship. Also, the mosques need to give imams, sometime probably Zuhr and Asr time to pray in the university if he is studying there, so that he can improve himself, and we can actually talk like the people, as the brother said from Japan, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ إِلَّا بِلِسَانِ قَوْمِ لِيُبَيِّنَ لَهُمْ, so that I can speak the language and actually the way the people think, and put it in a very nice way, so that they the best manner, the best way they understand it. And alhamdulillah, we in New Zealand, the Muslim community respond with peace and love, and the whole world watched us. This is the legacy that we created, and we want the Muslims also outside New Zealand, in America as well. I want the Muslims to show this image that Islam is not what ISIS and these people introduce. Islam is completely different, and also we need to be open to the wider community and to be part of decision making, stand in the election, in the local election, in the also national election, participate, be part of the decision making, and be quite open. The mosques need to be open and do things together with the churches, universities, hospital, police, and work with the authorities, so that you can keep your country safe and be part of the contribute as much as you can to the community that you live in, and be part of your community.
Yeah, we got 2 minutes left. I want to ask you now, since all this happened, we saw there was so much support from the community, from the people out there. Have you had also people out of their own free will and choice? Because we know Islam is the house of peace. When people are searching for purpose in life, and they want to go ahead and find out why they're here, where they're going when they die, and they came into the masjid, the mosque, and they start to look at, what is this Qur'an? What's this person doing in the mosque? He's putting his forehead on the ground and he's saying, "Glory be to my Lord the Most High." And people get to learn Islam. They're asking questions. We've seen that many people, out of their own free choice, men and women, is this true that they're actually accepting this beautiful way of life, Islam, even more now? Is this correct?
That's correct. When after 15th of March now, I came to know many people. It will take hours to tell you our legacy here, about our legacy. Actually, many people come to the mosque. We run out of the books and the brochures, and we had to order from Australia and overseas, And it's, until today, people come to the mosque with flowers and talk to us. Even if I go without Imam uniform in the street, people can tell that it is me, and they come to me and they talk and they say, "Sorry, we are with you, and we are not like that. We love people, and we welcome people and stuff." So it's really, actually, I call it, although it was a horrific, massacre, but the good things that came out of it is actually much more better. That we never expected that this too much love will come to us. I received from the top person in the world to the young person in New Zealand, in Invercargill, in Australia, Canada, all the ambassadors, the people from Canada, America, Europe, in the Middle East. I also went overseas, and other brothers as well, they came to America. One brother came to America. So all this shows that Islam is not what people hear in the media. And I think that the media need to think about this as well. They need to be part of planting harmony in the society, rather than creating division and disunity.
That's a beautiful end with that. Instead of creating division with misinformation, promoting hate, contributing to the haters like that, the evildoers, use that media for something good to go ahead and to bring humanity together. Thank you, Imam, for being with us here on the Deen Show.
Thank you, brother. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Peace be with you. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. So I hope you got to benefit from this interview, and continue to tune into the Deen Show. Subscribe if you haven't already, and support us on our Patreon page. Until next time, peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum.